Hello, greetings. My name is Ranveer Singh, and today we will be learning how to write an essay. Now, you may have heard what an essay is. An essay is actually a piece of writing which is a non-fiction. That means non-fiction means that it is something based on an evidence or something relating to an observation. Clearly, an essay is not a fictional story. An essay is something non fictional. Now, for this, I have a simple question over here. Describe the importance of science as a subject, and I have told myself to write 250 words for it. Now, before that, why writing an essay is very important, or perhaps why learning how to write an essay is very important. Well, writing is something that does very different to your mind. Whenever you try to write something, even if you don't know about it, uh, as you start to write about it, you start to think about it. There's a very common myth among people that they think that the people who write books actually have the full idea of the story before they start to write the book, and that is, to me, that is something very absurd, because it's just a myth. In actual, as writers, we try to think while we write. There's nothing like thinking before writing. It's thinking while writing, or even sometimes thinking after writing. And you will know when you start to write for yourself. So here, we will start to write on this question, 250 words. I think I should on my switch on my status bar. So here you can see the number of words we have. Currently, we have 13 words. 250 words means 250 plus 13 is 263. So we need to have more than 260 words to complete the essay. Now, whenever we try to read the question, first we should know the keywords. The keyword is importance, science, subject. The question asks us that what is the importance of science as a subject. Now, we all have learned science in our school days. Maybe you are in a school and you are learning science, or maybe you are doing a graduation in science. Very good. Science is a subject which is commonly referred to as the opposite of religion. Now, what is a religion? Religion is something like based on certain rules, certain conceptions, whereas science is something very free. It's a field where anyone can go out and discover something new. Science is like freedom. So, and why it is important for students to learn science? Well, it makes them receptive in making observations, as most of the science is actually observations. A little part or some part of science is actually theoretical, which is not, I think, told or taught in schools. Most of the subjects or most of the topics that are told in schools are actually very practical. So, science, we know the importance of science as a subject. We can start writing now. So, I would start. I think we must have four paragraphs for this. We will have a first, what we call as intro. Then we will have a body paragraph 1. Then we will have another body paragraph. Did I screw something? Okay, great. Paragraph 2. And at the end we will have our conclusion. That will be the outline that we are going to follow. There is no strict outline for this. You can have as many number of paragraphs, but for 250 words, I think this one works better. Now we will start writing. Okay, so we start writing now. First, I will use a very a kind of attractive line, eye-catching line. Science is the subject that removes the mist of ignorance from our minds. Now, this sounds very intellectual. This line over here, science is a subject that removes the mist of ignorance from our minds, and that is in reality science is something that does very different to our brains. And then I will write uh, and it has become a subject of almost all uh, students across the world. And of course every student in the world is currently studying science and math. These are the subjects very common actually. And why is it so? I think we should describe here why science is actually the common subject in the whole world. It is because science helps to question things and the world, which makes it better for pupils. Now for pupils actually mean learners, the people who are learning, who are accepting to learn. And here pupils mean students, which makes it better for pupils to learn this discipline, because learning science makes them learn about question and answers. And the big part is that science makes the pupils ask questions. If they don't ask questions, I don't think so science has a really value, or it adds value to students. Now for the last line I would write the upcoming essay uh, maybe conveys briefly how the science is actually, or is very important to be included as a subject in schools. We are mostly talking about schools here. Now our intro is actually done, so we should now head to the body paragraph 1. Body paragraph 1, we should start from here. Let's start. I think here we should try to be more factual. I think we should be writing more factual things. This one was actually something what I will call as a very observing kind of thing. It's based on observation. But this body paragraph 1, we must try to be factual. We must have some facts available. You can make up the facts, but they should appear very real. They should not be like you are lying to the reader. So I will start as science does something very different to our brains, and as adults we cannot ignore the fact that science makes us receptive to ask questions. And as Einstein, or maybe I should use the full name, Albert Einstein used to say, used to say, uh, uh, knowledge is not answering questions but asking one. Yeah, so Albert Einstein was a theoretical physicist, and he used to say that line. I don't know if it's the same as the words that I've used, but it's the same, that knowledge is not answering questions but asking one. So Albert Einstein used to say that knowledge is asking questions. If someone is answering to questions, that's okay, but if someone's asking questions, that is the most intelligent person here. Now we should move on. Therefore, science needs to be a subject of students, as it will help to learn, to make them learn about the uncertainty of the world. Okay, as it will help to make them learn about the uncertainty of the world. Make them learn about the uncertainty of the world. Now, what we know about science? What is science? I think we should ask this question to ourselves again. Science. Just give me a minute. Let me think. Let me close my eyes. Science. Oh yeah. One more thing. Science is a subject that is more than a subject. We all know that science is actually a vast field in itself. Science has a huge number of domains. The first one may be physics, the second one chemistry, then biology, then a lot of other. Some people try to include mathematics in the domain of science. Well, that is not true. Some people say that science and math are actually different, and here we will try to keep them different. Science is something very different from math, but yes, it is something that that accepts logic and denies it at the same time. Now we all know that there are a lot of formula, or maybe a lot of concepts and ideas that are theorems, that are said to be very kind of hard brick. That means that these laws of physics and these formulae cannot be broken, I'm sorry. But in actual, science is something that is very accepting to logic. They accept the logic, the theorem is the logic, but at the same time science wants people to break those logics. Why is that? Now, in older times, before Einstein, I remember a story. In the Before Einstein, everyone thought that time is very universal, that uh, for two people time is the same, time flies by the same time. But when Einstein uh, began to ask these questions, and when he went into his so-called thought experiments, where he will be sitting and closing his eyes and thinking of an experiment, then he realized that time runs very different. So it's a very long story, but the main fact is that time actually is something relative. That means time is different for you and time is different for me. We don't share a common time. If I'm traveling on a train or maybe a very fast plane, and you are sitting in your room, in your house, then I will age slower than you do. That is called the theory of relativity, the special theory of relativity. So we can understand that from this story, that before Einstein, people thought that time is universal, and physics said it too. But when Einstein came, he was not against physics, he loved physics, but he broke the logic, and then he made a new logic, that is special theory of relativity. So that is the meaning of this line. It is something that accepts logic and at the same time denies it. And then we can go, how many have we done? 168 words. Okay, I think we should move to the new passage. Okay. Science does. Okay, I should try to write the second paragraph. The body paragraph one is actually done, so we'll start to write bb2. Science is very vast in itself. Biology, physics, then chemistry, and then further domains of these subjects. For the domains of these subjects, uh, train students to let to understand the world from a very conceptual and factual way. I can write here, or perhaps the world from a very conceptual and factual way. Biology teaches about the functioning of living or non-living organisms. Chemistry, but explains about the fluids or chemical reactions that make those organisms living. Explains about the fluids or chemical reactions, and then physics further downs to further breakdowns chemistry. Thus, a student learning these sciences will acknowledge the reality that there is always a hidden logic running behind everything. Okay, so we have written a good essay, I think. Maybe we can add another line to end this. Then a student learning is these sciences will acknowledge the reality that there is always a hidden logic running behind everything, and that persuades a learner to chase that, or maybe to look for the hidden logics. That is very, I think, a great line for me. Maybe not for you. So in conclusion, we can say that we can use the word in a synopsis. Synopsis means that in a summary. So you can write in a summary, or maybe in a synopsis. In a synopsis, science can be a very powerful tool in in changing the way a person looks at, and that is very necessary to be taught in a school where students can learn to where students can learn to maybe where students can learn to observe, to be receptive, to make observations. Okay, so our essay is complete. It's 301 words, and our goal was to write 250 words. Clearly, we have written more than that, and I think personally I learned a lot of things from there. I don't know how much this essay is good at, but I think that it's sufficient enough. And the main point is not the main point. I don't want you to follow me here. Whatever I've written from my perspective. The main thing is when you are writing or giving a lecture or a talk, try to think creatively from different perspectives. I have a different perspective to science and writing and art, and you have a very different perspective from me, and that is very okay, because we are all born with very different sort of uh, chemicals. We have different sets of neurons running in our heads, and so we will always have different perspectives to things, and that is okay. The main thing here in writing an essay is not to be uh, accurate, but we need to be very special. So whenever someone it's like whenever someone picks up your essay and tries to read it, maybe your teacher or your friend, he or she should say, well, that is very good, it's loving. And that is the main thing. Marks don't matter, the main thing is the quality that you put into your essay. And that's the end line from me. Thank you for watching this tutorial here, and please forgive me if I have done any mistake. Maybe I would have made any spelling mistake or something like that. Forgive me for that. I'm still a learner, and I hope that you may have learned a little about writing an essay. Thank you.